Hey, Christina here. Welcome to my crystal art series. Today I'll be sharing my process behind Peace Blossom. Let's go. So, this is my mood board, and a lot of my inspiration drawn on the fact that the agate stone had a lot of different types of stones. So, they had a lot of cool designs that really sparked a lot of different imagery. So, through the stones that I found in my inspirational research, I found that I've been seeing a lot of shell fossils within these stones and then mushrooms. Because of the layers, it reminded me of mushrooms from looking from worm view to up underneath the mushroom, and then onions for its layers. I don't know why. It was just something that was on my mind. And then some of the rings in the agate stone had some interesting textures as if it was like oil and water trying to mix together. It was very bubbly. So a lot of bubbles and the effect between the oil and water. So very different inspirational research that I found and different thoughts against this stone. So, the overall meaning behind this piece was focusing on the cooler colors to lower stress and anxiety for a calming vibration. So, the actual agate stone has different types of this stone. So, I focused right now on the blue laced agate because that one was speaking to me more at the time. I may do another few down the line in the series. We'll see. But this piece, I really saw a blooming flower. I saw ripples in the water, which were all relaxing memories on a daily basis. So I thought this was very cool in terms of taking the inspiration that I found and applying it through a painting. So this pretty much touched upon blooming out of your traumas because the Blue Laced Agate is all about getting away from those traumas, removing those old traumas, and bringing in a calming feeling, the feeling of groundedness and peace. So for me, looking at this piece, I feel as though you're blooming out of your traumas as if you were locked up because you felt fossilized, meaning locked up and pretty much you can't move, you're in a loop, you can't get out of those feelings. So I thought that this piece really had that vibrational energy of calmness and breaking through, finding peace. And I thought that that was really cool. I really liked the story and the concept behind it. So I'm going to take you through on to Procreate. And pretty much I started out with a contour line of the composition using the Inca brush. I laid everything loosely so that I can color over it later. I was trying to keep everything very organic, and I also wanted to create shapes that speak to the mushrooms and the fossils and the onions that were on my mood board because they all had this very organic shape. Nothing hard edged or anything. I wanted to keep it really smooth and curvy. I used perspective to create movement as if it was growing, and I loosely added in color using the lasso tool to trace around the line work I created. Using the soft brush tool, I added in a gradient of blues and aquas to bring energy and vibrance to the piece. I wanted the colors to blend seamlessly into each other to create that calming feel. I came back in with my eraser chalk brush to roughen the edges to mimic that fossil-like texture and the patterns seen in the fossils over these shapes. So again, I wanted to tie this back into from you being fossilized into something more blossom and lively. So now I came in with darker colors using the old beach brush tool to add some contrast and create rings similar to the agate stone. So I wanted to tie it back to the characteristics of agate, which is their amazing rings and layers within the stone. I used the Gentian ink brush to add in a bubbly texture for a variety within the rings, similar to the agate stone, because not every layer in the stone was solid. They had different types of textures that really allowed the agate stone to express itself in different ways. So next I added in a stem to connect all the rings together in proximity. When these shapes come together, it does look like a flower. And I thought that that was really pretty, and basically you're finding yourself again after that trauma, so you're connecting everything together. Lastly, to add in the oil water effect, I saw within the agate stone to use the lasso tool and create a ghostly shape over top. And basically this was just kind of adding some flow, because where there's peace, there's flow. So I thought this was great to bring in some special effects and to just add something interesting to the piece, to connect it all together as a whole. So after working in Procreate, I wanted to take this to Illustrator so that I can set up my layout for print. So for me, I was just creating a generic card because it was super simple, and I was just doing this for demonstrational purposes. So I created a 8.5 by 11 artboard, and I created two rectangle shapes 4 by 6 inches, and I bumped them together to create our center line in the middle using a guide. And on each of the corners of the rectangle, I created crop marks so that when I print it out, it prints to the actual size, and then I'm able to cut it down to its actual size afterwards, because we're trying to lay out our images. So that's what I did in this. I laid out my image on the right side, but I made it go past the crop marks so everything would be cut clean. And other than that, it was just saving out as a PDF and going to print. So next I pretty much printed this out on cardstock paper, and I scored it on my drafting table using my utensil to create an indent all the way down the page. And that was my center line for the card when it was going to be folded. And basically the next step was just cutting it down to size from my crop marks that I made. And in terms of cutting it down to size, it was down to a 4 by 6. And then lastly, for a simple finish, I came in with silver metallic paint, and I highlighted the edges of some of the shapes within the piece to move your eye around the piece, because there was a lot going on and I didn't want to go overboard with some of the finishes that I did. And that was basically everything for this piece. I thought the colors really work well in this piece, and I really would like to hear your thoughts about this piece. So I want to say thank you for sticking around and for following me along on this journey, and I hope that you stick around for more of my videos. Keep smiling, guys. Bye!